Hello again, everyone. I'm back with another update on my 2006 Chevy Impala SS restoration project. What you're looking at here is the nose of the body, and the engine bay about a week ago has received a coating of POR 15. It's been shot black with POR 15, so I have a proper color for an engine bay, black instead of silver, and everything here in the front that's going to be showing through the grill is going to look blacked out like it's supposed to be. So yeah, the whole engine bay now has been armor plated with a very ridiculously tough coat of an additional very tough material, in addition to the two coats previously beforehand. To recap what I was doing here, in order to install these new front subframe rails here, every weld had to be separated. The tubs, these corner pieces, the core support right there, it's all got to be separated from there, and I had good reasons to just completely clear everything out of there, so it was all gutted, and the only thing left was these upper supports, which are actually these are structural members here, these two side rails and this upper support. This upper support actually has engine mounts. The engine is transverse mounted, and right here there's an engine mount and a torque strap that go to the top of the engine. So they're heavy structural members, and they were also completely clean, so they didn't need to be deconstructed, and they've been very thoroughly coated with internal coatings as well as everything else. But while I had all of these the tubs off, and the tubs are, by the way, they're two pieces. You've got the heavy shock tower piece at the top, and then you've got the rest of the tub on the bottom, and everything was all taken out, and the corner pieces and core support and everything, it was all stripped bare. So anyway, while all of those pieces were out, and by the way, it had to be separated. Tubs also have welds to the firewall too. The firewall is the upper part of that firewall is very heavy stock, and that's also a structural member. And so anyways, while that was all out, everything had to be reconditioned, and this one here was actually repaired. I had to, you probably can't see that now, but there's a weld. And anyway, that had to be repaired, and the whole thing, every one of these pieces were individually reconditioned and then individually coated with the silver slather coat, I call it. And so they were all individually coated. The new subframe rails also individually coated and internally coated before they were ever installed. Very thoroughly internally coated, and they had to be built up on the inside with reinforcements and so forth. I covered all that in other videos. And anyways, when all this stuff got welded back together, it was already coated one time, and then all of the seams where all of this stuff welds together here, these seams, they all had to be shot with internal coating, and I had to tilt the rotisserie, get gravity to run things in, and basically that's to get the burn paint on the inside where each weld had to be made, and reconstitute that into a solid coating with the frame shot. Then everything had to be caulked shut, so every one of these seams all the way around have been completely sealed and entombed with high quality urethane caulk. Then the whole thing had to be sanded down. All of the burn paint on the outside, there were spots all over the place, that, where every weld, that burn paint was all sanded off and the whole thing was scuffed down thoroughly. Then it was brush coated with a second coat of the silver slather coat. Then, I decided it needed to be black instead of silver, and hey, you know what? A third coat of something extremely tough and rugged sure ain't gonna hurt. So the whole thing got scuffed down again, and I mean every last square inch of it, working my fingers into all the corners and everything like that. It took like a couple of days, and then now I shot that with POR 15, and that was done not with a brush but with a spray gun. And shooting POR 15 is it's kind of a pain in the butt. You have to you can't just go and shoot a wet coat of that stuff on, and they tell you this in the instructions too. They want you to put it on in thin coats. And my experience with that is, on the very first coat, you can see it getting ready to suck away and fish eye, and I already know it's coming. I've got experience with this stuff, so I put this on in 3 coats, and the first coat was just it's what they call in the industry, they call it a tack coat, and you're just barely dusting it on. You are not trying to get any coverage at all. You have to dust it on. All you're basically doing is you're giving it a hint of a coat. You're not even giving it any kind of a coat at all, just a hint. You just dust it on there, and what you're trying to do is set up a texture, because that fights the tendency for the fish eyeing and the suck away phenomenon that this stuff is very prone to. So I already knew that going into it. So it gets a very light dust coat, and then you walk away from it and leave it alone for like the better part of an hour and let that set up to get tacky. And that's why they call it a tack coat. And you just basically you find a spot on the masking nearby, and you just keep touching it until it's the right level of cure to where it no longer smears with your finger. And then I go ahead and throw another coat on it, and that is just a dust coat too. So it's basically like 2 dust coats in a row, and you're just barely giving it a hint of a coat, and then another hint of a coat, and then you do the same thing. Walk away from that for the better part of an hour, let that thing set up. Then I come at it, and then now I'm ready to make a full wet coat. And so I finished the POR coat in 3 coats. Two very light dust coats, and then a full wet coat, and it turned out pretty good. I didn't have any issues. Nothing really fish-eyed on me or sucked away on me. I got nice coverage, and so now this thing is it's just ridiculously coated. It's not just corrosion. Just banging stuff around here in the engine bay. When you got to work on it and put it all together and everything, and it's going to be very well protected. Also, on this side, this is the battery area, and this side had a little more corrosion. Fortunately, nothing had holes in it, but it needed a little more attention, and that's understandable because the battery's in here. So with everything very heavily coated and very heavily caulked and very heavily protected, that just gives me, a little more assurance, if you want to call it that, of protection from that corner where the battery has to mount, and you just can't avoid that sort of thing. And just to get a look down in here, these. I also went ahead and shot down in there with the POR, and that's already been shot with a ton of internal coating, like you wouldn't believe, man. I probably went through 10 or 12 cans of that internal coating on each one of these, and all the places where I could reach like there's welds all around the very outer end, and those were where they could be reached. Those were taken down with a tool like what you see here, this wire brush on a very long extension. It's like a foot long, and you can use that to get into certain places and just give you an advantage. But all of this, and the coating goes all the way from one end to the other. These things were internally coated while I had them on a bench, and then they're internally coated some more to address the burn paint wherever welds were made. And any place that's open where I can get at it and reach it, all of that burn paint was cleaned off. And then that coating is actually pretty good at soaking into burn paint and basically reconstituting it and turning it into, you know, a solid film again that will hold up just fine when it's inside of something. It's not exposed to anything. All it's trying to do is keep that metal well protected from basically any corrosive vapors, like you know, just salt air fumes getting in there. And then I've already had it happen too. The original frame rail, right here where I'm shining the light, the original frame rail had a big hole in it right there, and that hole came from the inside, not the outside, because the outside I had it coated with some bed liner, and it got a hole on the inside. That's what happened from the factory. So anyway, that's this part of it, the engine bay and everything, that's done. That's going to stay like that. It you know, it's not exposed to UV light or anything like that, so it doesn't need any further top coating. And you know, you can see my my stainless steel studs that I got. There's a bunch of them over there too. And yeah, there's a stud there, and you know, more studs there, just places. And here I have this is a welded in nut. I guess you could see it from the back a little bit better right there. Welded in nut, because there used to be clip nuts there. I don't like clip nuts, so I welded in stainless steel nuts. Those hold things like the radiator and the electric fans. I don't know, there's things they have to mount there. And so every one of these mounting points, there's a nut. There's a nut right there. That's for the fender. That used to be a clip nut. Now that's a stainless nut. Yeah, but you get the idea. I did that all over the place. So anyway, yeah, the nose is all squared away. The fenders mount in these holes right here, and the fender covers up everything to where you see my hand, and the only thing exposed is this right here, the you know, the outer edge of this pinch weld. That shows when the hood is open, and so that makes sure everything that shows is black. And then this surface where the fender bolts down is you know, it's also coated with good measure with extra toughness. So when the fender is clamped with its bolts, there's just more toughness in the way. And then of course you know, the inside of that fender, you know, anyway, you get the idea. You know, the inside of that fender right here, you know, that's where the bolts go. Well, I'm going to be inside of here, and this is nothing but the factory primer, and miracle of miracles, no, there's a tiny little bit of rust there, but it's clean. And what you see there, this is my undercoating that I put on it when it was new, and that's what kept this fender nice too. You know, the undercoating I put on there wasn't a total waste of effort. The whole this fender is clean because I did the whole inside of it, and that's basically your tar-based undercoating. And I went all up in there as far as I could, and that did a good job. But when I get done with this fender now, that's all going to get cleaned out of there, and it's going to be recoated with ridiculous coatings in multiple coats. And so the bottom of this flange, where it bolts down, is also going to have you know, at least 3 coats of some kind of ridiculous toughness in there. So it's going to be very well protected where it bolts and clamps together. So anyway, yeah, that's the engine bay, and that's all squared away. The whole nose is squared away here. And yeah, what you're looking at here, this is the old rear suspension support cradle, and what you're looking at here, that's the new one. I bought a replacement for it, and that's been coated with the silver slather coat. This stuff here, I like this stuff. it's just something that I was trying different things. I came upon this. It seems to work really good. I know there's other things out there I can try. Some people have mentioned things in the comments that sound interesting to me, and might look into them and try them and stuff. But I'm just, I've been using this because I tried it. It works. I like it. And I'm kind of in the mindset of stick with what works. So, and I have been using POR 15 too, like I showed you over there, and it has its uses. And one of the things it's good for is when this silver stuff, it's just not the right color, and you can't get it in black. So I need it to be black. Okay, fine. I'll scuff it down and I'll top coat it with POR, and there we go. We have another coat of very tough, and it's the right color. So anyways, getting back to this thing, this is my original rear suspension support cradle, and you can see I left a couple of control arms. It has 2 on each side. I left 2 of them on there, and this thing is junk. I just brought it back in just for show and tell, but you can even see where, metal is gone from here. And this thing was not bare either. I shot undercoating on this thing. I don't know if you can see where any of it is left. I think there's some right there. And, it just got under it. And on this particular piece, the undercoating was, here, you can see my undercoating in there. There's my undercoating. I had to shoot it on an assembled vehicle. So, you're just not going to get every square inch of it. Do the best you can. But, yeah, it didn't get me anywhere. It's there you go. You can see it. And, well, as you can see, this piece is not savable. It's fooked. So, yeah, fortunately, I was able to buy a new one. And then, so this new one here, right now it has 1 coat of this stuff on it. And it's been flowed on with a brush. And turned out really good. It is really tough. I did this, I don't remember. I think it might have been last fall. It's been months. I don't remember exactly when. But this thing has been thrown around too. It's been like, kind of rolled around, banged around on the concrete and stuff. And this coating is holding up spectacularly. There's no chips or scratches on it, nothing. It's been like leaned up against the wall, and I accidentally knocked it over, and it, landed on the concrete and bounced around, and it's been kicked around a little bit. And this stuff, this has been brush applied, and I just flowed it on really thick. And that's what I love about this, this product here, is you can go on it it has to be properly prepared. Now, you've got to be scuffed, and you've got to be solvent cleaned with acetone, and it's not like, it can go wrong on you if, you have a little bad luck, or you're just not as, didn't give as much as attention to it, to the prep as you should. But in most cases, I have pretty good results without a lot of hassle, man. You just load this stuff on there, and that's what I did. I just loaded 1 very thick, heavy coat on there, just flowed it on there. And, a lot of people would consider, even me, I was tempted to consider this done. But no, what I got planned for this is the same thing as what I did on the engine bay. I want this to be black. So it's going to get completely scuffed down. And then, it's going to get a coat of POR, and it's going to turn it black. One of the things I want to point out here is, you see how these numbers that have been stamped in this part, the slather coat, my silver slather, it just loaded right into them and filled it in. It's almost where you can't even read the numbers anymore. POR will not do that. Okay, POR will suck away from those numbers. It just likes to do that. It's very it's real touchy. It doesn't want to just flow into stuff. It's very prone to fish eyeing and everything. So that's the other thing. If you if I wanted to coat this with POR, I know right away I would. If I wanted to do just the initial coat with POR, I know right away these would give me trouble. I've had stuff where I did that. I used POR only, and it sucked away from the numbers, and I had to take a brush and brush touch it, and even still, it doesn't want to flow in there. Like this stuff, And you know, with the POR, you'd have to dust it and be real touchy and fussy, finicky with it to get that stuff just to flow at all without sucking away. And this stuff, you don't have the slather coat. You don't have to worry, man. Load it on there as thick as you want, and it's not going to give you that. And when this stuff cures, it's every bit as tough as POR, man. I'm telling you, this stuff is really tough and rugged. You know, it's just like, if you don't mind it being silver, well, and being under the car and everything, I think I'd kind of like it black. So that's why I'm going to scuff it down and shoot it with POR, and that's fine. And the thing about, I have used POR on some items for a one and done. I can tell you, I used it on the spare wheel on my truck. The spare wheel on my truck being mounted underneath the cargo bed, and it stayed there for umpteen years. I never used it for anything, and it looked like that. So that's what the spare wheel on my truck looked like. It was fooked. And so I had to throw it away, and I bought a new one from GM, and I took that brand new steel rim, and I coated it with POR. All I did was scuff it down real good. I coated it with POR. I just hung it up and I shot it with, and it took 2 coats to cover it, and it turned out really good. It flowed really good. It didn't give me any trouble. It looks nice and glossy. It looks like GM did it. You know, it looks like it's supposed to look. And these little 4-ounce cans are really good for, you know, they give you a 6-pack of these, and that's so you can just, you know, for small jobs, because this stuff has a shelf life, and once you open the can, the clock is ticking. So, and when I painted that wheel, I did it in 2 coats, and one of these cans gave me, I remember it, exactly enough. I mean, I barely got all around the wheel the second time, and the gun started spitting. It was almost empty. So basically, this 4 ounces gives you just exactly enough to make 2 coats on a car wheel. And so anyways, it'll probably give me enough to make 2 coats on this. I don't know, and if I need more, I got more. I might have to open a second can, because I might put 3 coats on this, but I'm going to turn it black with POR. But then before I do that, where these brackets are welded on, these 2 brackets here, you know, you see them over there too. These are for the parking brake cable. And the way they attach them, it looks like they put drain holes or holes that maybe for the dip, because this thing came dipped in GM's half-assed weak primer. And maybe they do that so the dip can get in there. I don't know, but there's holes. There's holes. There's holes on the inside. And, you know, those holes are in the main stamping. And then there's more holes on the bracket itself. And then there's a couple of holes there, like little slots where they deliberately skip the weld there. And then same thing over here. This is open. They deliberately skip the weld. Well, the reason why that's all black in there is because I shot it with the frame shot. They call this this here. I've probably gone through something, but oh man, it's got to be close to 100 cans. I mean, I wasn't even counting. I've probably gone through about 100 cans of this stuff on this job alone. And so I took and I shot that in there and got that all thoroughly coated. And then I'm not done there. These are all, now that this stuff is dried up in there pretty much, all this is going to get caulked shut with urethane caulk. So these holes will be caulked shut, all these openings around in there. They'll all be caulked shut. And I'll let that caulk cure. Then the whole darn thing is going to get scuffed down. And then I'm going to hang it up. And I'm going to shoot it real nice with POR. And then so this thing will be, double coated with extra tough material. And, it'll be in a much better position. Hopefully, it'll last a lifetime with due care. Because it's going to be a whole lot better coated than this was, and this is about a 16 gauge stamping, so it isn't exactly light stuff. And like I said, this, you can see where there's metal gone there. It's gone. All right, that's a pretty heavy stamping right there. And yeah, that's the ravages. That's what driving around in the Rust Belt is going to get you. So anyway, yeah, getting to I've got it in primer now. That's a primer surfacer, and it's this stuff here. And this is a PPG product. This this stuff is great. It's a it's a 2K urethane. It hardens up and becomes completely solvent proof, and so it's very durable, but at the same time it sands real easy. I mean easy. You only need like 220 grit and finer to block this stuff out, and then that's what it's made for. You load it on there to where it's built up, and then you block it out, and you use I've been using my idiot stick here, and this has got 150 on it for an initial block out on large areas, and then I got also smaller blocks, and I'll put 220 on there, and it sands easy, man. This stuff sands like butter, and it makes a lot of dust. This place is just loaded. It's like if you got a whole house full of freshly installed drywall, and you got all the mudding and taping, and you weren't really good at troweling it smooth, so you have a lot of sanding to do, and that's how much dust it makes. It's nuts. And I've got it all blocked out, and yeah, I got my body work is finished here on both sides, and there were a couple of little dings and stuff like that, and that stuff's all worked out. There was a little ding up there, and that's all worked out, and the welding, warpage, and everything, that's all worked out, and it's all blacked out, blocked out, flat and smooth, and my door sill area where there were welds here. And this stuff is all blocked out, like it's going to look, factory. You're not going to be able to notice anything there. That's all finished out, and I've got the roof. That roof is smooth as a baby's butt, and it's as straight as a piece of glass. Where I shaved off that dorsal fin antenna, that's all gone. That's all blocked out. And the idea is too, you want to block this out till you're just starting to show through in a couple of high spots in there. You don't really want to leave a ton of this stuff on there. You want to keep blocking, because the idea is you build it up thick, but you're not going to leave all that thickness on there. You want to actually sand most of it out. And what it's going to do is when it just starts to expose the high spots, that means the low spots are all filled in if you've been blocking it out with the right kind of tools and the right kind of technique, and that's the whole idea. And then what you end up with is something that is very well surfaced, and that's why they call it a surfacer. And so, this stuff is it's really good stuff. I use it in my truck, and use it on this, and yeah, I highly recommend it. You'll get super results. Again, that's the stuff they call it shop line. And you've got 3 parts. You've got the base, and you've got the hardener, and then you've got a special thinner, and you can get different drying rates of thinner. They've got fast thinner and medium speed thinner, for temperature conditions and so forth. And then, yeah, what else we got going here? Well, I go to the other side here. This was where I repaired I had a big nasty hole there, and I welded in a patch that goes about like this, right about like that, and around the bottom. So yeah, there was a hole big enough to put my fist through there, and I welded it in, and that's been finished out now. It's all been, and I'm pretty confident that that bodywork's going to pass. It's I got it straight and true. Everything's right, and yeah, you'll know it when I get a coat of that black color with a clear coat on top of that. There ain't no place for any bad bodywork to hide. Take it from me. It's gonna show everything. So if you're gonna paint it black, you better get it straight, and it is. It's straight, and yeah, I was talking before about how you get magnets to stick to your bodywork by keeping the Bondo, because all of this stuff had to be finished out with Bondo. And like this line here, my metal ain't that good. that line there, that ridge, that had to be, that had to be made with a little bit of filler. And so everywhere I'm sticking here is that's in the patch area. And it's all there, and it's all there, and it sticks there, and it sticks there, right? Okay, but then as you move over here, yeah, it still sticks there. But then as you move over here, I have to make a confession, folks. As you get over here, well, yeah, I had to. I'm sorry, I confess. Okay, so it's good over here, but as I get down here, now up here, I'm good, So it's just right down in here, and I let the thickness, I had to, because, hey, you know what? My metal just wasn't, I usually do better, but trust me, it'll be fine. Let me show you something here. Okay, under here. This thing is solid 1/4-inch steel. This is my lift pad that I welded in there. This is solid 1/4-inch steel. Okay, and it's been coated. There's no Bondo on it, but it's been coated with the bed liner. But watch this. Okay, it won't stick to that. And there's a lot of steel there. Well, it can't stick. And why? Because, well, that bed liner it's got some thickness to it. Now, the thing is, though, it ain't that damn thick. Okay, and this magnet will not grab it, and it's probably more than 1/16 of an inch thick, but I would say it's less than 1/8 inch thick. But what I'm demonstrating here is that's about how much you can get away with before, as far as any coating. It doesn't matter, any non-metal coating. That's about, there's a point where it ain't gonna stick, but that doesn't mean that it's so excessive that it's gonna fall off. Okay, what I'm saying here is, it doesn't take much. It doesn't take much thickness. If it's much more than 1/16, maybe 3/32, right here, this don't stick either. Okay, and that area right there, that's that's a hunk of heavy steel tubing, and it doesn't have any Bondo on it. It's just, it's been coated with my bed liner here. The point I'm making is, it's not unusual. None of this is going to hold a magnet, okay? And so what I'm trying to get across is, yeah, this part ain't going to hold a magnet right here in this zone, and it's not because it's that damn thick. It ain't. And it's all metal under there. It's all properly done, okay? And so, yeah, it can't hold a magnet right there, but it ain't that damn thick, okay? What I'm trying to get across is you got to keep your Bondo really thin, okay? Because there's Bondo up there, but it's thin. It's really kept under control, and there's Bondo right there, and it's kept under control. And like I said, it's only when I get right here. Now look at here. There's welds here, okay? I don't have any trouble with that, not at all. There's a weld. You can see where the weld comes across here. There's Bondo there, and there's Bondo. There's 2 welds, and there's another weld there. Well, there you go. You keep that Bondo really thin, and So okay, I failed the magnet test, and so it is what it is. But yeah, take it from me. Don't worry. That's going to hold up just fine. That's a properly welded patch, and body works real straight. And so there you go. And I'm almost done. I am done blocking it out, and I've just got some more, just some hand sanding that's got to be done in, detail areas, and get it all sanded down, and it won't be long. And I guess I got to try to get this thing in finished paint by the end of this month. Hopefully within the next week or so. Look for a window of good weather, and I got to get this all. And it's a big job. I just getting the garage ready. I gotta blow all the dust out of here. It's crazy. I got cobwebs hanging from the ceiling. You gotta spend a couple of days cleaning out all the dust out of here and all the cobwebs and getting this space ready for shooting finished paint. So got that. But by the end of this month, I should have the finished paint on it. So I'm expecting by the next video I make, I'll be doing stuff like this here too. This line here, this is a hard mask line. I got to sand that smooth. And what I'll do is I'll scuff this out and I'll let the color just fade out into this zone. It only shows up to here. The fender is right here, so it only shows in this zone, and this will all be black, and it'll all fade black out to here. And I'm going to do the same thing. The masking will be taken off, and because there's nothing inside. The only reason why I masked it off is I don't want primer going on the inside. I threw a blanket in there and stuff, but that's all going to come out. All this masking will come out because I'm going to deliberately let the color go to the inside. I'm going to do a light scuff on the inside, and I'm just going to let the color overspray to the inside just for good measure. And, you do that all around in the doors, and you do that in the trunk opening too. None of this masking will be there. And the same thing with the window openings and everywhere. The finished color is going to be allowed to just overspray to the inside. It'll just be lightly scuffed and prepped in there, and all of it will allow the color to overspray to the inside. That's how they do them at the factory, and so all this nasty masking. I'll have to mask the wheel openings because I don't want any more paint than a little bit or whatever here and there. But basically, I don't want a ton of paint going onto my wheel wells, just for appearance sake, really. And so anyway, yeah. So there you go. So the next time. Oh yeah, another thing. That area right there, the top of the very front of the roof line. This is a chip-prone area, and the whole front of the roof line, going back to just aft of the front of the sunroof, that's all been coated with silver slather coat in this area, because it's chip prone. So it was all coated, and also all around the sunroof too. The whole perimeter of the sunroof front, plus the whole perimeter of the window openings. So that was all completely clean down to bare metal all the way around, because these are all areas that they just like to harbor rust because they harbor a lot of water. And so the same, I made a belt line of slather coat from the bottom up to about halfway up. It goes up to about there, and then goes all the way across the back. And same thing. And so it's silver slather coat underneath the primer, and then the primer surfacer on top to make it. You block it all out, make it look pretty. And the same thing I did here. That's all silver slather coat, and that's because this is a chip-prone area. Stones hit you, and you get little chips, and you'll have to touch them up periodically as you drive. And so the thing is, little chips there. It'll have something backing it up underneath, so maybe the color on top might chip easily, but the substrate underneath it will be something very much tougher. So that's another anti-rust strategy, as well as all of the window openings. They've been completely cleaned down to bare metal, and they've been coated with the silver slather coat, which gives me results like that there. Very, very tough results. So anyway, yep. I guess I've talked enough, so I guess the next time you see it, it's going to be in finished color. So thanks for watching, and so long.